a topic I see a lot of teams struggling with is those allocations, in terms of how much is allocated to community, how much is allocated to their sort of team and related parties. And then, I mean, we deal with it a lot in terms of how much tokens are allocated to the foundation or to the DAO treasury. What are your guys' thoughts generally for that? What is a sort of good thought pattern there, or what should you be looking out for in terms of allocations of tokens?
So from my end, it is a difficult question and one we get a lot. It's probably the most common question that pops up when people think about tokenomics. The tongue-in-cheek answer I usually give is that it depends on what you need to allocate for. But it comes back then down to like, what is it that your product needs to succeed? But we cannot only just think about what it is we're building, which we're part of a bigger industry. So we always have to take it into mind, what is everyone else doing? I used to present a workshop that was almost like purely just titled The Perception of Fairness in terms of allocation decisions. And it was really had two frameworks where the one was focused on trying to figure out what allocations are for the benefit of insiders. These are the people that are close to you, the people you talk to, the people who know things about what is happening, what's happening behind the scenes. And then you have everyone else, the outsiders, the community, if you want to. And that ratio between whether an allocation falls into the one or the other, we used to take a very standard approach of trying to understand how the industry allocates to those different types of groups. What is the standard? It changes year by year, but it's always been roughly around the case that 60% of allocations would go to outsiders in terms of playing it safe. And then the second model, which was trying to understand like which stakeholders am I incentivizing? And this is a model where you think about team, investors, community. And it's really I'm trying to understand, do I want to incentivize the community because I need them to do something? Do I need to incentivize investors because I need a lot of capital? It's very different based on your needs. And in terms of the data we looked at, it usually is that a team allocation is somewhere between 16 to 30%. Community allocations have the bulk, closer to 45 up to 50, and the rest are filled in by investors. During phases in the market where we see very aggressive valuations, very aggressive capital raising endeavors, that investor allocation goes up. But we've also seen how that has negative effects down the line if you raise too much from the private sector, the insiders.
Fully aligned there. Like you said, it's really depends on the type of project that we're talking about, right? You know, things may look different for Web3 game versus native protocol versus investment DAO or real world asset token or an NFT project. We're balancing a few different aspects here. There's the actual tokenomics and also the optics that it ends up portraying as well too. But for some projects, it may end up being more important than for other projects. But definitely as a rule of thumb, right? I think in general, it's best to see allocation weigh more heavily towards community. And of course, it's split between what's given day one versus future allocation as well too. But that total chunk, we do like to see that around the 50% mark, you know, like you were mentioning. At the same time, we also want to see teams, the actual founding teams themselves, have some sizable allocation. And this is to show that they have skin in the game, that they're incentivized long-term for the token to perform well. And that's why you end up seeing these lockups being, you know, fairly lengthy, particularly for the teams themselves. And that ends up being sort of a bullish signal. So yeah, definitely this 15, 20% range, is definitely what we're seeing sort of comp-wise. But again, it can definitely adjust.